Whoa, whoa, whoa. What? Y'all throwing flowers at me now? All right, I get it. We got the banner lineup for 6.2 completely spot on, and I won't be surprised if you guys think I live in Hoyoverse headquarters. But to be fair, I really don't, at least yet. All right, enough flexing. You guys have questions, and as the Miss xianyun that I am here to answer, deliver, and keep you craving for more. The same way you'll be craving for discounts at LD.
Stop the cap.
I'm just joking. So yes, today's video will cover the banner lineup from 6.3 all the way up to 6.7. Yes, we're going deep today.
What did he
And as
say?
always, I learned a new pattern about Genshin, which further improves our accuracy. That said though, if you think your character won't show up in this video, then feel free to comment below. Trust me, the earlier you comment, the more likely I'll spot it. And if I do, then I'll answer your questions personally. Alright? Perfect. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with 6.3. So right off the bat, we know that two huge characters are confirmed for 6.3, and those are Columbina and the new Adeptus we're expecting for Lantern Rite. So now that we've locked in those two slots, then who are the next two characters? Well, this is where we take our simplest rule, the rule that I used to call the rule of first rerun. I've refined it a bit, so here's the context. The rule of first rerun states that a character will rerun 4 to 6 patches after their original and first debut, if and only if they have high market demand and are essential for previous meta. Now, the market in the face of Hoyoverse is you and I. We are the ones spending money. Purchasing it either in-game or LD all constructs as market value. And yes, what we're demanding right now is a Scoffy, because we are spending those money because of her. And yes, it have been exactly 6 patches since our last rerun. Therefore, she's literally bound to be here. Aside from that, she is of high demand due to her being the literal key to unlocking Skirk. Without her, Skirk is honorarily useless, thus meaning a Scoffy is also essential for that meta. So therefore, a Scoffy marks every single target. So right now we've locked in Columbina, the Adeptus Lady, and thirdly a Scoffy. Now the last character is meant to be simple, but oh boy, is it kind of difficult, cause there are actually 4 characters contending for the spot. But trust me, I know exactly who it is. I just want to show you the possibilities, because along the way, I might explain when the character you want will be appearing. So, the first character we have for the spot is Skirk. She's contending here because it has been exactly 5 patches since her last rerun. But nope, it's not her coming in 6.3. As a matter of fact, she's coming quite soon. But that explanation is for later. So, looking further into the second character we have, Navia. But nope, it's not her either. Navia is a contender because she's of high demand and her sales are high. But she can't be here, because Hoyoverse would want to intentionally rerun her the patch exactly before Sandrone. Because following our second rule, Genshin will always run a DPS right before the DPS that will power creep that DPS. They'd rather run her a patch before the power creeping DPS, so as to get the final best value they can get from that character. So if Sandrone is coming in 6.8 or 6.7, then Navia would appear in 6.7 or 6.6 respectively. Otherwise, she'll come in the Fountain Chronicle banner, which is happening around 6.7 or 6.6 earliest. Okay, now the third character is Ineffa. Honestly, I won't waste time explaining why she won't come. To put it simply, it had been exactly 4 patches since our last rerun. It falls into the rerun rule pattern, yes, but it's too early, because the person who is guaranteed to take that spot is Neuvillette. As I have said, and will always say, since the release of Neuvillette, he and Farina have always been running 2 patches after or before one another. We saw this in many patches, like 5.4 with respect to 5.2, and also 4.7 to 4.5. At this point, it's a secret pattern that they haven't told us yet. So yes, since Farina ran last patch, which is 6.1, then by adding 0.2, it's safe to say that Neuvillette is coming in 6.3. Simply no questions asked. So in 6.3, here's what we're realistically expecting. We have Columbina, the new Adeptus Lady, who according to leaks will not be a Nemo, Escoffier, and finally a rerun for Neuvillette. Now before we rush into the 4 stars, let's take a moment to talk about their phases first. Keep in mind, I can only pair these characters together, but the exact phase order still has a 50-50 chance of being wrong. Now, here's the one thing people misunderstand about Genshin banners. Everyone likes to say Hoyoverse is extremely aggressive with releases. In reality, they're actually very careful. They rarely place 2 completely new characters in the first phase. The only recent exception was Muika and Satali back in 5.3, and before and even after that, we haven't seen them repeat this approach. So following that logic, if Columbina appears in the first phase, then we shouldn't expect the Adeptus to be placed there as well. It makes even more sense when you consider that Lantern Rite is always featured in the second phase, and since this new character is an Adeptus released specifically for that event, she is almost guaranteed to arrive during phase 2. So at this point, Phase 1 has Columbina securely locked in, and Phase 2 has the Adeptus confirmed by timing alone. Now all that's left is to pair them with the reruns. Let's consider a theoretical scenario. If Columbina ends up being a support that benefits Neuvillette, then it's extremely likely that Columbina plus Neuvillette will share Phase 1, while Escoffier and the Adeptus Lady will anchor Phase 2. Now, before we go over the 4 stars, come on guys, how long have we been waiting to get to 25k subs? Damn, it's been like weeks. No, like a month even. So yes, even if you're not interested in the giveaway, do make sure to like, comment, or even subscribe. I always post peak content, so you have nothing to lose. Your sub is actually worth it with me. So for the 4 stars, we usually see characters that complement the 5 stars on the banner, or at least pretend to. And in this case, the first thing that jumps out is Aino. She's basically the 4-star equivalent of Columbina. Same role, same idea, just without the Arcan level sauce. So if Columbina is up, Aino has solid odds of joining her banner. Next, because I'm assuming Columbina and Neuvillette are paired, the other 2 4 stars I'd bet on are Jinkyu and Diona. These 2 are regular visitors whenever Neuvillette shows up, so it's safe to expect them here. So that pretty much wraps Phase 1 for me. With that said, let's move on to 6.4. So right off the bat, 2 people are confirmed, and that's Skirk and Varka. Skirk is here because she's following the rerun rule, while Varka is simply here because he's confirmed and leaked to be arriving in this patch. So for the other 2 characters, this is where it gets interesting. Like, really, really interesting. But before we go over that, let's talk about something personal. You see, the main reason I joined Genshin is simply because it was actually one of the few games where skill isn't the price of entry. It's not like shooter games where if your aim is trash, you're trash. So personally, the only other game that gave the same vibe was Infinitti Nikki. So when they reached out for a collab, all I could really say was, say less, my dude. So what's the gist? Well, Infinitti Nikki is actually my other go-to game whenever I just want to chill like in Genshin. Now, you gotta get something straight. Infinitti Nikki isn't just a dress-up game. Nope, it has an amazing storyline, nice combat, and an open-world experience. With that said, their anniversary version 2.0 is just a few days away, and there's really no better time to jump in. This update is packed with exciting new exploration content, and it also introduces their very first archery-style gameplay, bringing a fresh layer of strategy and immersion to the adventure. Plus, the celebration is coming with tons of generous rewards. We're talking about 126 wishes in this patch alone. Now, aside from the freebies, version 2.0 also kicks off a brand new story quest that puts Nikki in a completely new spotlight. And what's a peak story without new worlds to explore? This update introduces 2 new stunning areas. First, there's Elderwood Forest, a vast, overgrown jungle filled with ancient ruins that really shows off the game's sense of scale. Then there's Spira, a bright and playful land built by the Shroomlings, featuring snail shell houses and glowing mushroom bridges. Together, these new maps make the 2.0 adventure feel richer and more alive than ever. As for the outfits, they're not just gorgeous. First, there's the 5-star Born Flawless, a Roman-inspired outfit that unlocks Nikki's archery ability. Then there's the 5-star Behind the Prayers, an Arabian-style set that grants a grappling ability. Both outfits look stunning and add fresh layers to the gameplay, making version 2.0 feel even more dynamic. In total, there are 4 new abilities: Gigantification, Grappling, Archery, and Battle Companion. So come on, man, or sis, use my link below and get started on this amazing journey in the world of Infinitti Nikki with me. So, back to 6.4, we've confirmed Skirk and Varka. For the 3rd character, this is easy. Now, an Arcan will obviously rerun, and that Arcan is none other than the Raiden Shogun. I've done my analysis, and everything backs up Raiden appearing in 6.4. Honestly, I could spend the whole day explaining the thought process, but I know you wouldn't want that. So just take my word for it, Raiden is coming in 6.4. As for the last character of the patch, this one's the hardest to predict, but if I had to pick, I'd go with someone people have been demanding nonstop. Wanderer? Nope. Citlali? Damn. She is the one. Following our previously stated rule that Hoyoverse almost always releases the support before the DPS, it makes perfect sense. I already know that Muika is coming in 6.5, so logically they'll run her support first before the main character. So yes, for 6.4, we're looking at Varka, Skirk, Citlali, and most importantly, Raiden Shogun. Here's how I see the phases playing out. Varka and Raiden will most likely be in the first patch, while Skirk and Citlali drop in the second. It's really just simple analysis, so do note that down. I'm confident in this prediction. Now for 6.5, I'm going to speedrun the characters because things start to get a little foggy from here on. First up, we have Muika locked in for this patch, which leaves 3 characters still to account for. As for the second character, well, luck isn't really on our sides. The new release is a 4-star named Aluga, and honestly, he's pretty much useless for this analysis. With that said, Ineva is finally guaranteed to get her rerun here, since it'll been exactly 6 patches since her last one. With Ineva locked in, that leaves 2 more characters to account for. Alright, come on. Think. After digging deep into the pattern books, I realized there's a rule that always comes clutch in moments like these. It's straightforward, yet surprisingly complex, and honestly, it's a lifesaver. The rules say that Genshin will prioritize reruns from the previous region before pulling from any older regions. For example, when we were in Netlun, the reruns mostly came from Fontaine and Netlun characters. So with that in mind, it's pretty obvious. The region before the current one is Netlun, which means we can expect plenty of Netlun characters to rerun. It already shows, because in 6.2 we're getting 2 Netlun characters, Marisa and xianyun. So for the 6.5, the first rerun should be the longest waiting Netlun characters, which are none other than Kanich and Chaska. It's really that simple. Now, I won't say the phases since it's so freaking far out from our current patch, so yeah. Finally, let me cover all upcoming characters in future patches. For those wondering when Nicole will run, well, I'm glad to tell you she will run in 6.6. Now, this means war, because people claim that she is a pyro, but personally, I beg to differ. You see that little thing you can see on her back isn't her vision. I mean, just looking at her demeanor. Does she look like pyro? Absolutely not. So I'm still standing on the fact that she will be a cryo support for Alice, who is running in 6.7. Do not dare make 6-7 means in the comments, guys. Anyway, it makes more sense because it means Alice gets the support, and it follows the support before the DPS rule. So yes, I'm not backing down until they have proved beyond reasonable doubt of her being pyro. I mean, freaking come on. Durin is pyro, Alice is pyro, Nicole is pyro. Might as well burn down, not cry. So for the love of all that is holy, she shall not be pyro. With that said, before I wrap things up, I just want to remind you about LD Shop. They are the GOAT when it comes to Genshin savings. You'll see the discounts for yourself. Also, they get even better when you use my link below. All you need is your UID and server and you're good to go. So yeah, go grab those juicy savings. So if you like my prediction videos, then go check out this video where I try to predict Columbina's kid. It's so interesting and info-packed. So if your food isn't done yet, then grab your spoon and binge watch my content. It makes both you and I happy. It's a win-win. Anyways, that's a wrap. If you're still here, then thanks so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.